Okay, good morning. Welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, on the 1010XL YouTube channel and their Jaguar channel, spread all over the social media world and all over other podcast platforms, live on Facebook, of course, and my personal one. If you ever want to jump over there and see this ugly mug, you're more than welcome to. My show brought to you by Team Tommy Mack. I got two of them represented on the body today. Azar Sausage. I tell you what, man, I just grabbed another big shipment. I shouldn't say shipment because I pick them up. But we had the andouille and the hot the other night, and they were absolutely fantastic. Sausage dogs, right? Kind of like hot dogs with sausage and little onions, little peppers, just absolutely fantastic. And you can catch me at your local grocer. The third generation, homegrown and down home. Phil and John do a great job representing the family and the business. A lot of you know them out there. And, of course, Code Ninjas, man, get your kids into these camps. I'm telling you, summer camps, you can sign up for them right now. 4 great locations all throughout Northeast Florida. Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra, Bay Meadows, and there's one more. I'll have to look it up. But, World Golf Village. Absolutely. Go to CodeNinjas.com. A great place for your kids to learn. We'll talk about the rest of them in just a little bit. Lots to get into. I'm going to just, before we get into everything, I want to dedicate this show. I'm not going to say his name just because it's not public knowledge yet, but a longtime friend of mine is in really bad shape. They still have a glimmer of hope, but it doesn't look good for him. So if you don't mind, thoughts and prayers for my friend and his family, his mom and his family. It's very tragic. It's a shame. It's just sad, but hopefully, listen, when you always have a little bit of a chance, there's always a chance, and I just want to dedicate this show to him and wish him nothing but the best. I went and saw him yesterday. Hey, listen, that's life, man. It's just life. And I had to go see him, and I had to at least, say a prayer over him, and he wasn't with it, but it's okay. That's okay. Hopefully he's healing up and well. All right, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, a lot of not so good stuff because of Freddie Taylor not getting into the Hall of Fame. Mike Dempsey just gave me some insight, which is very interesting. We'll talk about that. We got a lot to get into. Jags GM search. I actually also and the coach's search and how the staff's coming together and how I did because it's Super Bowl 59, right? I mean, here we go. This is going to be a great game. And I went through the stats. We're going to go through the stats. Now, it's not the Jags, but it is the Eagles and the Chiefs. I did regular season and then how they're looking in the postseason. So it should be a lot of fun and see who we think's going to win Super Bowl 59. Before all of that, let's welcome in my good friend, Grammage. Hey, Grammage, how you doing, brother?
Happy Friday, baby.
Yes, it's always a good day, Friday, right? Even if you're 60%, whatever. However you're feeling today, it always is a great day on Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. I got something cool happening later today. I'm recording a song. First time I've ever done it in my entire life, and co-wrote a song. My friend Damien, and we're going to go record it in his studio this afternoon. Give it a shot. You only live once, baby. Might as well. Screw it. Go for it and see what happens. But lots to get into, of course. Very disappointing news. I didn't stay up for it. I once I hit the couch, it's over. I might last a little bit. But, you know what we got into? Not last night, the night before. Have you seen the O.J. Simpson thing yet? With the trial and everything? It's a documentary
on Netflix.
Series? On Netflix?
I have been begging my fiance to watch it,
and
she.
Gosh, I don't remember I remember the details, but not really. This takes you inside. It's pretty wild. Anyway, sorry about that. My ADD kicked in, but last night, the Hall of Fame class of 2025 announced, and thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Freddie T did not get in. So there's 15. There's a new way they're doing it now, which I didn't know this. Mike Dempsey from, of course, Jaguars Today here at 1010XL was just telling me in the hallway. So the 15 goes down to 7. And then out of those 7, you got to get 80% of the vote or something like that. That's how they came up with the number. So Freddie didn't make the 7 from what I gather. So the 3 that didn't make the final, like they made the top 7 but didn't make the all the way in, they are automatically finalists for next year. Kuechly, Eli Manning didn't make the top 7 either. That was pretty interesting. Vinatieri, But we'll go through the list. Look, I thought this was the year. I really did. And they only kept 4. And really, Sterling played in the 80s. So he's not a modern-day player. And by the way, listen, look, Terrell Davis, Tony Baselli, Sterling Sharp, 7 years. He's got a case. I remember when he was playing, he was unbelievable. I mean, he was. Sterling Sharp was a very dominating wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers for many years until I think he hurt his neck from what I remember. But he was a phenomenal wide receiver. So, and if he would have played longer, he probably would have got in earlier. I get that. But that should have been separated, right? I mean, you're talking about the 1980s. Well, 89 to 94, so I guess it's, I don't know. And then Davis, the corner, he was late 80s, 90s, right? Jared Allen's probably and Antonio Gates are the modern day guys. So only 2 modern day guys, if you look at it that way. Seems kind of odd. Lowest number of Hall of Fame finalists since 2005. And that was Steve Young and Dan Marino, who went with the old guys, Benny Friedman and Fritz Pollard, who the Fritz Pollard Alliance is named after. So just strange, that you would only have so many. I'm shocked Kuechly doesn't make it. How is he not a first ballot Hall of Famer? How is he not? I mean, listen, he's as good as Ray, without a question. I mean, he had a tremendous career as one of the best linebackers in all of football. And maybe if he didn't play for Carey, they had better success or what have you. Maybe he's even more recognized, but that was interesting. I could see Vinatieri. We talked about that on Tuesday. Kickers, it's not when you got these other guys there still, Looked at Suggs, but Suggs has 3 more sacks than Jared Allen. Did you know that? That's interesting. Jared Allen's very deserving. I'm not saying they're not deserving. They are deserving. But it's just interesting how there was no additional, just 4. And if you really break it down, you could go 3. And if you really throw in Eric Davis, then it's really 2 modern-day guys. I'm surprised there wasn't more.
Fred.
Torrey Holt was the other one in the 7. Sorry.
Put Fred to the side for a minute. Luke Kuechly not getting in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Jared Allen getting in over Luke Kuechly is a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke. I'm sorry.
If you had to only pick one defensive player, I agree with that.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah.
You just said it. Luke Kuechly is every bit as good as Ray Lewis
Without
was.
a doubt.
And Ray Lewis was without hesitation a Hall of Famer. Yep. And not only was Ray Lewis a Hall of Famer, but he got to have a speech for about 3 hours on NFL Network when he had his induction.
Yeah.
But what?
Yeah, and Luke wasn't protected like Ray. Ray had Saragusa and Adams in front of him, man. He got untouched most of the time. I mean, he's still a fantastic player. I'd never take anything away from Ray Lewis. He was great.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, but Kuechly was
Luke Kuechly.
This is good.
That was a guy when we went through the list last week.
Yep.
And we went through guys that were like no question. He was a no question.
No doubt.
Because he's Luke freaking Kuechly.
Yeah, I mean,
are you serious?
Unbelievable. How many All Pros? By the way, we've said it before. Get rid of the Pro Bowl as part of the factoring in if you make the Hall of Fame or not. Just get rid of it. It's a popularity contest. It's not always the best player of that year. It's just the best one that had a good enough year to where you're like, hey, still a Pro Bowler. All pros should matter because there's only a first team and second team. Those are the elite of the elite. You know what I mean? I think that's what should count. You got to get rid of the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl should not count in how you, or at least if you want them to count, make them a small percentage of the entire allotment, if you will.
We talked about this last week though. Like even if you were to say, okay, that's not part of the criteria.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the way that national writers consumed that player from a media perspective and how much they watch that player.
Yeah.
Right? Like and it's not to say the Pro Bowl like literally is why, but like guys that get voted to the Pro Bowl get voted there for a reason because the Pro Bowl itself is a popularity contest. So like we talked about this last week. If you're a writer that has a Hall of Fame vote and you have always covered teams on the West Coast,
right?
When would you have watched Fred Taylor play?
Well, same with fans. I mean, when is you know what I mean? Like some fans out on the West Coast, they may have heard of Fred Taylor. Yeah, he's great, but they don't They don't ever watch him. I agree with you. Like, how do you even know? You got to go. Look, former players to me, like, go ask anybody who played against Fred Taylor. Should he be in the Hall? Now, there may be a little bit of guy, yeah, he should be in. Yeah, I mean, everybody would get a yes. You know what I mean? We don't want that, but I'm with you. When do they ever watch him? And being in the markets matter. I gave you a little love there, Gramish. People got
Appreciate
to see you on the other side there. Good-looking kid, isn't he? Yeah. But, yeah, no, it's like the whole way they do it seems screwy now, you know? And then Holmgren doesn't get in. Like, you would think one of the like in Coughlin, like, I don't know. And then you got new guys coming up, you know, the top 7. So the 3 that didn't make the final, they're in the top 7 next year, automatic. I mean, Kuechly's gonna get in, but man, I'm just that just seems odd to me. And I think Terrell Suggs has got every right to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's got 139 sacks, man. That's no joke.
I'm just Jared Allen. Like, I'm sorry. But no,
I know.
Not over these guys.
No, I agree.
And I get what you're saying, but they're all he's deserving and all that.
He's a Hall. I mean, listen, he was the one that had the 22. He had 22 sacks that one year. Right?
But he's no more deserving than
Terrell Suggs.
Like he's deserving in the respect that everyone who's a finalist for the Hall of Fame is probably deserving at some point.
Okay, the top 15.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you were good enough to be a finalist for the Hall of Fame,
yep,
that probably means that somewhere along down the line you are deserving to eventually make it, right?
Right.
So he's deserving in that sense.
Yeah.
He's not deserving over these guys.
No.
Because deserving has to also mean you deserve to get in over these other players, understanding there's only so many spots. And especially if they're only going to vote in 4 people.
It's not a tie goes to the,
Right. Yeah. So Jared Allen over Luke Kuechly is so egregious.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. That is insane. Like, Jared Allen is a deserving Hall of Famer.
Who dominated more?
It's not even close.
Right.
Luke Kuechly.
No, I know.
Luke freaking Kuechly, man.
Unbelievable.
He was the best defensive player in football.
Yeah.
Like, what?
For many years, too.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's your class right there.
That is so insane. Yep. And then to get back to the Fred point, man, it's so clear when you look at how things are voted, when you look at like people's conversations about it online. It's just so clear so many people just didn't consume Fred Taylor enough to understand how good he was.
And we are a little biased because we saw it, but we know what the greatness is because, again, we saw it.
But to your point of like former players and people that even on other
ask Ray Lewis and Rod Woodson if Fred Taylor is a Hall of Fame running back. Go ask them. What do you think they'd say? I know what they'd say.
And to that same end, like because the players, to your point, a lot of times players are always going to advocate for more players getting in.
Yep.
But like, because back, like especially in Fred's early career, when you guys were in the AFC Central and it was the Ravens and the Steelers.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ask Pittsburgh Steeler fans that were watching ball 20 years ago,
when
25 years,
34 on them.
they will say hell yes, because they watched him. Yep. Right, they consumed the product.
Yeah.
Versus like, if you're a fan of like the 49ers, like you just didn't know, you just didn't watch them play.
No,
right. So I think it's probably similar in a way to like a lot of offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to really know.
How do you really know? Like
right.
Marshall Yonda compared to whoever.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Tony had that issue for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
although to me, I like that's what, and I think that's what Jacksonville does. They get hurt because the 4 other guys that were the best left tackles in the game during the same era as Baselli, they were all in for years, for at least 2 or 3 years. And I'm sitting there going, come on, man, he's as good as Walter Jones, Ogden, Orlando Pace, those guys. He was just as good. And then Willie Rofe, who was really good. I mean, they were all really, really dominant left tackles. You can't tell me Tony wasn't just as good, if not better than some of them, if not all of them. You know what I mean? So you could say that about Freddie T. You look at the guys that are in, and you compare. I was looking at. I got to get my glasses on. So Eric Allen. All right, let me just throw this at you. So 6 Pro Bowls, 54 interceptions in his career. That's 21st. Okay, so just from that is 21st in the league, and the 20 ahead of him, 14 are in. So, how does he get in ahead of the other 6? You know what I mean? And 21st.
Yeah.
Listen, 54 is a lot. I'm not saying it's not a lot, but that's ought to jump off you. Wow, Hall of Famer. I know he's a great player. I'm not saying he wasn't. They had a great defense too. They had a great D line. That was Buddy Ryan days. Yeah. That was Clyde Simmons, Reggie White days. Some of it, not all of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You look at, you can't deny Antonio Gates, game changer, right? That's when we started really looking at basketball players to be tight ends. Guy came from, what college he came from? Played basketball at Kent State. I think they went to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 or something his year. But he was one of the first. I'm sure there were others before him. But really, because Gonzalez, I think, played hoop too. But he played football in college.
Jimmy Graham a little bit later on.
Jimmy Graham.
Played basketball.
Yep. But Antonio Gates, 116 touchdowns receiving when he ended his career, which was first.
He's not
broken, of course.
He wasn't a tight end, but it was the same era as Antonio Gates. Julius Peppers was a great hooper at Carolina.
Yeah.
He was a great basketball player at North Carolina. Great
defensive end.
I mean, that dude was insane.
Was a great Bear, too, man. We loved him up in Chicago.
And Panther.
No doubt about it. All right, so that's your 4. We see where Josh Allen gets MVP over Lamar. I don't know. I mean, if you go by stats, you got to give it to Lamar. I know it's pretty close. I guess it really depends how they look at most valuable player. Like, take him off the team, what happens? You know what I mean? Or just the best player in all of football. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if it was the best player in all of football, then non-quarterbacks would have more consideration.
Okay.
But they've basically what the NFL...
Did Saquon not get... He must have finished 3rd. I'm sorry I cut you off. But did he finish 3rd?
I think so. So what the NFL... I say the NFL. What voters on these awards...
Yep.
What they have decided to do, what they have made this, is whatever quarterback they think is the best, they give MVP, and then whatever non-quarterback, they give Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year, right.
And Offensive Player of the Year is almost like a reason to not have to make that player a real MVP candidate.
Yeah.
All the shows and stuff talked about Saquon. We all knew he was never going to win.
No. Well, and the 2 QBs really did have outstanding years. I mean, they had monster years.
Right.
So Lamar had a monster year.
But Saquon is having one of the greatest running back seasons of all time.
No, without a doubt.
So
he's like Freddie Taylor.
So
reminds me of Freddie T so much, man.
So should he not have been a heavier? Because he was in the conversation, but he wasn't really in the conversation.
No, right.
Yeah. Nobody that respects their wallet would have put money on Saquon actually winning MVP.
No. Well, and again, Lamar is very deserving. So is Josh. I don't think they should count the playoffs. I don't know.
They don't.
They don't?
No, the votes are in before the playoffs
start. They are
start,
in before? Okay, good. Because that's the way it should
It's a regular season award,
yeah. It was a close one. I saw where Brian Thomas Jr. finished 4th in Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, Jaden Daniels was pretty special. I could see him winning it. I thought he'd be higher than 4th.
Jaden Daniels, I think, should have won.
Yeah,
I think that's probably fair. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. should have finished at worst 3rd.
I agree.
I believe his other LSU teammate, Malik Neighbors, finished ahead of him, which I think is...
with the Giants.
That I disagree with.
Yeah. Who was number 2?
I think 2 is Brock Bowers.
It was.
And Brock Bowers was...
Yeah, he was
dude, he was unreal.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
And who was throwing to him?
You're right.
But you could say that the one thing about Brian Thomas Jr. is he had 2 different quarterbacks. Now, they're not different, you know what I mean? But 2 different quarterbacks that were thrown to you.
Yeah.
And they didn't figure you out that you were a focal point till like week 10.
Right. To me, I personally, probably with some teal glasses here, I would have had Brian Thomas Jr. second.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaden Daniels is a rookie, took him to the NFC Championship. You really can't.
We'll see what he does here too, but he looks pretty special.
Right, but rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Rookies don't take their teams that far. They're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
Rookies aren't supposed to go to the number 1 seeded Detroit and kill them in their own house. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I would have put Brian Thomas Jr. second, but if you say Brock Bowers, I can't be upset at that.
Yeah, I can. They're tied for second as far as I'm concerned.
That's a coin flip. I'll give you that.
I mean, he had Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
I'm sorry, but if BTJ copy and pasted the same season and put it on the New York Giants, and Malik Neighbors did the same thing here, then BTJ would have finished third.
Yeah.
That is a market size thing, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah. If you really watch Brian Thomas from whatever week 9 or 10 on, he was one of the most dominating wide receivers in all of football. So,
and he had his teammate, his LSU teammate again, Malik Neighbors. He had him beat in every statistical category other than catches.
Right.
But his yards per catch was like 6 more.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, that's not really a comparison.
He had the pizza dude throwing to him, didn't he? DeVito?
Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeVito. Hey.
Tommy Cutlets?
Yeah, exactly. And Eric Armstead wins Walter Payton Man of the Year. Hey, listen, man, congratulations to Eric. I know we're hard on him for on-the-field stuff, and we are looking forward to him playing more 3 technique than anything else next year inside. But, hey, that's a fantastic honor. I loved his speech, too. Thanked his mom and dad for leading the way and showing them. And he just, look, about humanity. And, now we just need you to bring it all together on the field, Eric, and be a dominating force inside. And that'll make it even more special. You know what I mean? But it's a great award. And let me tell you something. I told this story before. Growing up outside of Chicago, our assistant principal was friends with Walter Payton, and Walter came to our school 3 times in grammar school. The first time I was in 3rd grade, I'll never forget, he walked through the gym, and he had on like this dark blue, it might have been a Bears shirt, I can't remember, but it was like a golf shirt, and he was super muscular, and I was in awe, and I was just like, holy cow, he looks like Superman. I mean, he did. He was unbelievable. We grew up near his hill. Like, we'd run the hill. Now, you wouldn't run the hill like him because the last part of it, I swear, was straight up. You'd have to crawl, and he wouldn't crawl. He'd run. You'd never see him out there, right? But the hill was always there, and you could go out there and run up it and try it. So cool. Walter Payton, man, what a great person, great individual, great player, great just advocate of the National Football League. To have an award named after him, so rightfully so. And to win that award, it's special, man. So congratulations to Eric. I'm happy for him. He does a lot of good work in the community. Listen, you don't have to, you can do the little bit, the minimum that they ask you to do. But you're a lot of those times when you win an award like this, your off days, you're not laying around doing nothing. You're out in the community, doing stuff. Even if you're sore and tired, after practice, at night, you're visiting, you're doing whatever you're doing. So I commend anybody that was up for the award, and to win it. That just means you're doing the Lord's work, man. That's a good thing. So, again, now we just get you inside, beat up those guards, and we're on our way, right? No doubt about that.
Really, really quickly on the Walter Payton thing.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest running back of all time?
The greatest running back of all time. Gosh, it's hard.
Because there's really 3 names that get brought up.
Yeah, Jim Brown's got to be one of them.
4 names that get brought up.
Okay. All right. So Emmett.
Yep.
Barry.
Yep.
Walter.
Yep. Jim.
I mean, but look, and they were all phenomenal. But what about Eric Dickerson? He was unbelievable.
I don't think he's in the tier of those other guys.
I do. He was insane. He doesn't have the, he's not the top. Well, he is one of the top rushers, but not those 3. Yeah. It's hard to choose. Walter's one of the best of all time. And then you could always sit there and be like, okay, and no disrespect to Emmett or Dallas, put Walter in his prime behind Dallas in their prime with that with the quarterback, the line. You know what I mean? Who knows what he would have done? Listen, I grew up watching Walter Payton, the 70s, early 80s. They got killed. They didn't start winning to 80. I think 83, 84 was a big year. 85 they won it. 86, 87. They were competitive. But prior to that, Bob Avellini, Vince Evans were the quarterbacks. Mike Phipps, you don't even know who they are. The offensive line, Noah Jack, they finally got an offensive line. Dick had brought in an offensive line. the Black and Blues Brothers. I used to have their poster on my wall, and they all had the hats on like the Blues Brothers, but they called them the Black and Blues Brothers because they were pounding people. They had like Keith Van Horn, Hilgenberg, Cowart, who was a Hall of Famer, Jimbo Covert. I mean, they were loaded, man, just loaded. But anyway, great award. Congratulations to Eric Armstead.
I think Walter Payton's the best running back of all time.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I think he's
Barry
one.
Could have. What if Barry played 5 more years?
I think, but he
left
didn't.
After 9.
But he didn't.
Okay.
Wait
a minute. So okay. It's all. I mean, years. I mean, because you can't.
So
What about Baselli? Couldn't you not say he's one of the best left tackles of all time?
Sure, but he didn't play those years, so he's not.
Okay.
And Barry especially, because Barry left the game voluntarily.
Yep.
Barry left the game. He left the game on his own.
I know, but I don't know. I guess it's how you look at who's
I
the
feel
best
like
of all time.
I feel like there's more merit to arguments about, well, what if you put like when you were just saying, like, what if you put Walter on those Cowboys 90s teams? Like, I think there's more merit to that argument because you don't control what era you play in or what team you get drafted to. Especially in those years, there was way less flexibility in free agency and all that.
Totally.
Barry retired on his own.
He did. He walked away.
And I know we always say, what if he had more yards and all, and he would have reached those goals, but he didn't.
All right, let me ask you this. I know, right, okay, so we can't live in hypotheticals. I was going to say, well, Fred didn't get hurt, and what if Fred was the rushing leader of all time? Would he be the best back of all time?
Not necessarily, but he'd be in that conversation of those guys. I think Walter. I think Walter's the best because just like watching, obviously he wasn't alive when he played, but like watching his old tapes and stuff, watching him, I think he's the best combination we've ever seen of size, speed, agility, like all the above.
Yeah.
Barry, if he had finished out his career, then he'd probably be number 1. Yeah. Barry was a little smaller than Walter was.
Barry could take it to the house better than Walter and Emmett.
Yeah, I agree.
He could,
he played on worse teams.
Yeah. Detroit was terrible.
They were awful.
Yeah. Minus Doug Weidel, of course, the offensive line.
But I feel like Barry, like nobody wants to punish him for retire. He retired early.
Yeah.
Like
but he's still one of the greatest backs that ever played in the NFL.
Of course, and I'm not advocating I think Barry Sanders is the second best running back of all time. Of course.
Okay.
But I think Walter is 1.
Yeah.
I think he's the best running back that's ever walked the face of the earth.
Walker was great. Walter was great out of the backfield, too. He had great hands.
Correct.
And he was a phenomenal pass protector. He'd knock your block off.
I have Emmett at 3rd.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Jim Brown 4.
Okay. That's
personally where I would go.
I always think about, like, backs in different eras, would they have been so dominant? Like Jim Brown, unbelievable. But every time you watch him on film, he's bigger than almost everybody, except a few guys.
Or you look at like the opposite, like certain guys could have thrived maybe in another era.
Yeah,
like I think Marshall Faulk today, would be a top. He would be.
They would never catch
Marshall Faulk today would be
like that.
He'd be Christian McCaffrey. He'd be Saquon. Like he was.
Oh, you mean today? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
But Marshall Faulk in his era, using backs in that way was still pretty new. And the Rams did a great job of using him, obviously.
He
but
was great
today,
out of the backfield,
think about Marshall Faulk today with Kyle Shanahan or Andy Reid scheming up play calls for him. And in the way that McCaffrey gets that, and Saquon for the Eagles right now. Think about that. Like, that would be crazy. That'd be a fun watch.
I just saw where Marshall Faulk got named the running back coach for Colorado.
I saw that as well. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Which leads me into the Jaguars. GM search ongoing. Liam Cohen has it's starting to shape up. He's getting his friends inside the building, which it's cool. I was looking at, because I just wanted to look at and have an idea, but Ben Johnson's staff, he's got quite the staff so far. A few former players. I don't know all of them. I know the former players. He's got a new OC, so that's new. He went Dennis Allen for the defense coordinator, not a good head coach, but a really good defense coordinator, more of a veteran type coach. We got a young staff. I know a lot of people are excited. I'm open. I want them to succeed. I keep seeing all these are great hires, great hires. We don't know that. We don't know if they're great or not. And until we get them in and see what they can do and see if they're relatable to our team. Maybe they are. Now that's where the GM is going to, have to fill that locker room that will relate to a younger staff. I still think Liam needs somebody older to talk to. I mean, first-time head coach, you better support him with somebody that's been a head coach before, in my opinion. I don't care if you call him an advisor or whatever, but he's going to need somebody. He's going to need somebody to talk to from time to time. Maybe not every day, but to go through some things,
I was disappointed to see Ron Rivera
go to Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been perfect for something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'd like to see. And, you look, Dennis Allen, not a great track record with New Orleans, but has some experience, could talk about some firsthand knowledge. He's a DC, so it's easy for the coach to talk to him. You can kill two birds with one stone there. I would still have another advisor just to have. Look, these guys are young. I know they're energetic, and that's great. I know they're, what they put on paper looks great. I know what they've done in the past, at least with Liam for a year with Tampa, looks great. But, I'm optimistic. I guess, again, I want them to succeed. It's interesting. I don't know. Is Liam having trouble filling the staff? You see a couple guys backing out. The guy from the Rams backed out, the guy from Tampa. Now everyone's like, well, they weren't going to get it anyway. Maybe. I mean, I like the Udinski coming from the Vikings. I do like that, right? Kevin O'Connell, considered a really bright and young offensive mind and a really good coach that gets his players bought in. So that could be a really good thing. I know he's had I think I saw where, not this past year, but the year before, working with multiple quarterbacks, because of injury with Minnesota, and getting them ready to play. So, we'll see. But he's never done it before. I mean, Mark Campanelli, great interview. I don't know how many guys are going to be in all that. Maybe. You got to get the right guys, that aren't going to be offended by that and want to fight them or challenge them or, be like, what are you talking about, But he's never called a defense either. He's called run game, so he's got that experience. But this is, this is your coach, Liam Cohen. So he's, nobody else was interviewing him, I don't think, or looking at him. You went with him. He's your guy. It's great. But he's a first-time OC in the NFL. I know, well, other than the Rams, partially, but full-time by himself, without the head coach, being an offensive wizard. It was his offense. But he's only done it a year, so he doesn't have a ton of relationships. Tampa wasn't letting him bring. That's the difference between Johnson and here. Detroit, I mean, Antoine Randall L., assistant head coach, got upgraded, so that it makes it easier to move, get some other guys that come with him, better relationships. Look, those things matter, I guess. He's putting them together. I mean, look, Whipple's an old friend. Shane Waldron's an old friend. Waldron, he's been an OC before. Now he's going to be a passing game coordinator.
He was not a good offensive coordinator.
Well, Seattle, the last year in Seattle was bad and Chicago was bad. He got fired after 9 games in Chicago.
Chicago was really, really bad.
And look, and I'm not trying to be negative here at all. I'm not, because I want it all to work. But, are these hires because he, having trouble filling it? So let me get guys that I'm friends with. And people do it. I mean, you want to work with your friends. You want to work with people you've worked with before or connected somehow. The only concern I have is that they're all, they've never really done it before. So that doesn't mean they can't. You know what I mean? But let me tell you something right now. I thought about this because I saw something, and I shouldn't let it get to me because it does. When I hear, now I hear they're a young team and they're young and got to give them. They're getting no patience from me. I'm sorry. This is your guy. You got your guy. It's not a rebuild. You got to know we're not a 4-win team. I don't want to hear one freaking excuse next year, this upcoming year, about them being young and first-timers. You chose your path. We're behind you, but it better work. You better win. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people will be like, no, they get some time. They ain't getting no time. No time. You got enough. You got the supposed quarterback, supposed left tackle, not supposed wide receiver, supposed corner. You got the top positions covered, right? You got to fill in the gaps. You got some players, there's no doubt. But there'll be no excuses at all because you're young or you have a young first time, whatever. None of it matters. None of it matters. You got to win. It's a production business. They feel like they can. I hope they can. I hope they get it all together. I hope this defensive coordinator just makes sure the guys do their job every single time and hold them accountable when they don't. That's all they need. They don't need no sprinkle dust. They don't need no new system. They just need some accountability, a new attitude. So hopefully that coach will bring that and his staff will bring that. And the offense, we know what we need to do. We need to be better all across the board, including the quarterback. More consistent. Can't have glimpses. Can't just make great throws and then miss routine ones. Can't not know what's going on. Can't be false starting. Can't be lining up the wrong way. I mean, how you line up the wrong way in week 15 and on is just, it makes no sense to me. Like, wasn't anybody holding you accountable whatsoever. So if they get that down, they got a chance. They got a chance. But I hope they've got that right mix of personalities on that staff that can get that locker room to buy in. Because that's what it's going to take, without a doubt. And I hope it happens. And I hope they fill this, the GM role. I don't know. I still, and I'm not inside, so I don't want to speculate, but I mean, you got the head coach already, you got Baselli, and now you're trying to fit the GM. They all report to Khan, which hasn't worked in the past, I think they need a senior guy that everyone reports to, and that one guy reports to Khan. I don't think you need 3 guys, but whatever. I don't run an organization, so what the hell do I know? But I think they need more inside. That's just my opinion. So hopefully it all works out, and they get off to a great start. Let's see. Who's new to the game? We said Shane Waldron. John Van Dam, he did get him from Tampa. He'll be the pass game specialist. So we got a pass game coordinator and a pass game specialist. Hey, pal, do you want a job? I'll make you the food and beverage director. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Just come on. Unbelievable. And a QB coach in Spencer Whipple. He comes from, of course, the UMass area where Liam played. Let's see, on defense, we've got Anthony Perkins, the defensive back coach. He was the defensive quality control coach at Green Bay. Big jump for him, but good for him. Obviously, he's got the relationship with Mark Campanelli. Tem Lukabu, I don't know anything about him. He was Carolina's outside linebacker coach. So that's good. He's got some and the assistants do have some position coach NFL experience. So that's not across the board that they don't. They do. They have some. Actually, all of them, I think, have some in their repertoire. Kevin Williams he's the assistant linebacker coach. They don't have a wide receiver, running back, or O-line coach yet. So those are going to be very important. I think the O-line especially. I don't know. I didn't have a problem. We look at the O-line. We always don't like them, but they weren't terrible. They weren't the reason we lost games last year, at least in my opinion. Defensive line, different story, but not the offensive line. They got to upgrade. They got to get better, and their backups got to be upgraded, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball. Got to have quality depth, man. You just got to have it.
I'd like to see an offensive line coach that's a seasoned veteran with experience.
So,
I don't really want.
What's your problem with Rosher, if you have one? Not a problem, but why not Phil Rosher?
Because they weren't good. They weren't good enough. There's a difference between they weren't the problem and they were the solution. Because they weren't the solution. They were fine. They weren't worse in the league. They weren't 2 years ago they were. But this past year they weren't atrocious. They weren't awful, but they weren't great.
They weren't dominating, but they kept their quarterback clean.
Sure,
for the most part.
Sure, but is our expectation not deep runs in the playoffs?
Yes.
Show me the team that consistently does that doesn't have an offensive lineman that kicks ass.
There isn't.
It doesn't exist.
Right, but okay. I think part of the problem with our O-line in the running game, because of the way that they ran the ball, I swear, if you watch film, I bet you more times than you think the running backs miss the timing of the hole.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, big time miss. Missed the cutback, missed the hole in general. Didn't hit it at the right. I'm not trying to say we were dominating line. We were not. And I would upgrade left tackle right away. I would. I want a stud there. I don't want just an okay, maybe hold down the 4 type guy. Anton's got to bounce back. Morse is fine. I think Ezra had a good year, but he's not going to be the move the guy out of the way type thing. Although he was pretty physical last year from time to time when I was watching that tape. Sheriff, who knows? He's just, he's an old grizzled vet. I'm sure he still wants to play, but you got to get younger. You got to get younger.
You have to move on from Brandon
You got to get
Sheriff.
younger, for sure.
I don't think you can walk away from this NFL draft without drafting 2 offensive linemen.
I wonder if any of these guys, and I'm not making it like Chad Hall, I wouldn't have him back.
I wouldn't either.
Because he didn't do anything for accountability. But was it Doug that told them not to? You know what I mean? I mean, how could Chad Hall not bench guys for dropping balls and missing, routes and having illegal motion and lining up wrong and not getting set after motion? Not getting set after.
You know what I mean? I don't think he's that type of coach. And that staff was not that type of staff. But neither was
Doug.
No.
Right.
But Doug hired him for a reason.
No,
right?
Right.
If
you're the head coach like that, your assistants can't be like that. They got to be the other way. They got to be the harder. No, I don't care what he says, man. This is bad. How many times are you going to line up wrong or run the wrong route?
How many times the year prior, because it was the same exact staff, how many times the year prior is Calvin Ridley not going to know what to do?
Yeah.
He's not going to know the plays.
Yeah. EJ Hollywood, yeah, you're right, man. I agree with ETN. Put him in the slot a little bit. I want to see him one-on-one with backers and safeties in the pass game. I think he could be a weapon.
I think that sounds great, and I would love that, but
Trevor won't hit him.
Travis struggles with vision in the backfield and running the ball.
He needs to be outside. Those outside runs always seem to work for him. And he had a couple. Listen, I thought unfortunately, it felt like a lot of penalties when he had some nice runs at least later in the year.
Yeah.
Tank looked good too, but I can't count on Tank to hold on to the football. Like, that's a big problem. And one thing about ETN he's not good at enough is pass block. And neither is Tank. You can run right over ETN. And he's not a small dude, but he doesn't pop you and stone you.
He ain't big
right
either.
In the hole. What's that?
He ain't big either.
No, but his lower body's thick. He should be able to plant those feet and come up under your chin and get you to settle down a minute.
He gets run through in pass pro a lot, and he also just misses where he needs to be in pass pro a lot too.
Yep, he does.
And it's not a surprise that a guy who's struggling with vision and hitting the right hole with the ball.
Listen, Tank's equal in that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Look, I'm not trying to tell you that these running backs are Barry Sanders and Walter Payton.
Yep. But you can win with them.
And I think
you can win with them.
And again, it's to the point we were just making. If our expectation is that this team is a consistent playoff contender, and year in, year out, you can see them in the divisional round and the AFC Championship game and have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. This line is not good enough for that.
Listen, first of all, if our offense and defense, I've said this a lot of times with Pat, if they would have executed better, we wouldn't be having these conversations. It's a true story. There were so many bad plays by our players that continue to happen throughout the year. And you can't win like that. Offense and defense. So I don't look, not having the best and be able to win. I don't think Trevor's the best. I don't even think he's top of the best or in that top class. But I think you can win with him. I think you can win. Now, I would upgrade left tackle. I'd still keep Walker around. I would upgrade the line, but you can win with that line. You need another weapon to stay healthy for Brian Thomas Jr. Can't be Tim Jones. Keep him on special teams if he even sticks around, but you need another weapon. You get Ingram back, maybe Kirk. I don't know how they're going to keep both, but maybe they do.
You mean Gabe Davis is not this generation's Jerry Rice?
They should have sat Gabe down before he got hurt. He wasn't doing anything. That was a bad, and you look at the, he's got to turn it around because, that's another signing by Balky that might bite us. The Campbell one might bite us. He's okay. You guys act like he's some top corner. I like his physicality. He's a tough kid, and he's okay. I'm not saying he's not, but he ain't no top corner. You know what I mean? And then Walker's contract, it's small, but, that's what the new coach is running into. But too bad. That's the job, and you got to get it done. All right, we're going to look at Super Bowl 59 before I head out of here real quick. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mac. Please go to TommyMac.net if you would, and you can see every logo of the team, and you click on the logo, and it goes right to the respective websites. I love them all. They're always there when you need them. Might not need them today, might not need them tomorrow, but when you do need them, they're best of the best, and they take care of their customers. Carbon Man Flooring, you know the deal there. LVP, Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds, Morgan & Morgan, you get injured, forthepeople.com. J-Dog Junk Removal, hey, your junk is someone else's treasure, man. Take care of them. They are absolutely fantastic. 844-GET-JDOG. I already mentioned Azar Sausage. They are fantastic. Code Ninjas, mention them as well. CodeNinjas.com. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group, #1 commercial real estate firm in the Northeast Florida and beyond. Salt Air Inn and Suites, phenomenal boutique hotel, 4 blocks from the ocean, 2 blocks from all the action. Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's hot sauces. They're on our table. They should be on yours as well. Freedom Finance. Make sure you go to freedomfinance.llc. Get that fractional CFO service from my man Courtney Myers. And, of course, Fields Cadillac with performance and beauty and luxury. Want to thank 1010XL as well. All right, the line did move a little bit. KC now favored by 1 point. I wrote down the stats that we normally do for our Jags. I wanted to do it today. I did regular season and postseason. It's amazing how much better the Eagles look on paper stats-wise. It's just amazing, but hear me out because it's going to be interesting. Okay, points on offense. Chiefs, during the year, only 22.6 points a game. In the playoffs, 27.5. They upped their game. Defense, crazy. They only gave up 19 points a game. They're giving up 21.5 in the postseason. But when I read you their other stats on defense, like, man, how did they keep them? A bend, don't break defense for Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles, they're averaging 35 a game now in the playoffs, 27.2 during the regular season, but only about 18 a game on defense. They've got a good opportunistic defense. Wait till I tell you how many turnovers they have in their favor. Quite interesting. Yards per carry, Pacheco hasn't done much. Hunt had 4.3 yards a carry so far in the postseason, but nothing big during the season. They were at about a 4.0, or he was 3.2 overall. Defensively, they give up 4.1 yards a carry, 4.9 during the playoffs. Saquon, I tell you, you can run. I think you can run on both teams, to be honest with you. And the stats kind of say it. Saquon averaging 6.7 yards a carry in the playoffs, 5.8 during the year. Guys, unbelievable. Their defense, 4.5 during the playoffs, 4.3 during the regular season. So, again, you may be able to get a little running game going on them, but that we'll see. They typically, that Jalen Carter's something else, and that Bond, that linebacker, can surely play. Yards per attempt, let's see. Mahomie, not that impressive during the regular season, 6.8. Not impressive. At 67.5% completion, that's pretty average now these days. 8.3 though in the postseason for him at a 67% completion percentage. Defensively, the Chiefs, they give up 7.8 at 66% in the playoffs, a little bit less during the regular season. Hurts is at 8.0 by himself, 68.7, dropped a little bit in the postseason. Their defense, very good on the pass, 6.0 during the year at 62%. 6 yards per attempt at 62%. They're at 6.5 at 60% in the postseason. Third down, it's amazing. The Chiefs still 19 points a game. They gave up 43% on third down conversion rate. That's not good. Their offense was near 50. Philly, in postseason, they're at 45 and 48. It's almost 50% they're giving up on third down, the Kansas City Chiefs are. Look at Philly, not good on offense at 36.1 in the postseason after having 41, almost 42 during the year. And then on defense, they were phenomenal during the year, 35.5% on third down, 43.4 during the postseason. Fourth down, they're kind of equal. Sacks, we'll just do postseason. Chiefs have given up 5 and got 10. Defense has 10. Eagles have given up 11 and have 10 themselves. Interceptions, no interceptions by either quarterback. No, I think their Chiefs defense had 1, and the Eagles defense 4 picks in the postseason. Eagles' biggest difference between the two is turnover ratio. The Chiefs, although +6 during the year, are -1 in postseason. The Eagles, +10 in the postseason. +10. So if you get Saquon going and they turn the ball over, maybe they stop them. I'm having a tough one with this pick because I think on paper the Philly should beat them. But we know that's not always the case. And the big players for Kansas City, like Chris Jones will have a game. You know what I mean? He's just going to show up. And Karflitis will have a big game. Travis Kelce will have a big game. Mahomes will have a big game. Hunt somehow will get going. They'll just figure it out. Maybe Pacheco somehow gets it going. But then you got the other side. Now, that O-line struggled a little bit last week, if you remember. They did. Washington, now they got a pretty good defensive front. They gave them some troubles. So can the Kansas City defensive front give them similar troubles? I don't know. If that O-line comes to play and they play the way they're capable of and Saquon gets going, it could be a long day for Kansas City. I'm okay with either team winning. I think it's great for Philly. It's a great rematch. And to go 3 in a row is absolutely insane. So I commend that. I'll never be against that because I know how hard it is just to get to, well, I don't even know how hard it is to get to 1. I can only dream of it. But to get to 3 and win all 3 in a row, pretty impressive. I'm going to make a pick. I'm going to say Chiefs by 1. I'm going to say the push is on Chiefs by 1. I'm not betting on the game. I'm betting on touchdowns, and I'm making my own parlay so I don't get fooled again. You got a pick there, Grammage? Who are you going with for Super Bowl 59? Come on, we'll give you some airtime. There you go.
Who do I want or who do I think?
Who you pick? You got to just make a pick.
The Chiefs are going to win.
What's points?
It's going to be a 1-score game with 3 minutes left, and Mahomes is going to figure it out and find a way.
Beautiful.
That's what he always does.
All right. Thanks for great work, my man. All right, everybody, I got to go, man. Jaguars today, if you want to catch us, 92.5 FM and AM 1010, or just go to the website or the app, and you can listen to Jaguars Today with Mike Dempsey, Fat Tony, myself, and Dylan Denmark. Thanks all for hanging out. Thanks to Team Tommy Mac. Really appreciate you. Go to TommyMac.net. You'll see this show, other shows. I'm adding more content to the YouTube channel and going to look forward to bringing it to you all throughout the year. Till next time, stay safe and be cool, and stay safe. We'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. Peace and love, everybody. Thanks so much.